Okay, Seth. So we've done the mood check, and I know that you're having some anxiety and stuff, and set the agenda. So now I want to review your homework that I gave for you last week, and I just wanted to see how did first. I want to see how it went for you. Was it difficult, easy?
I wasn't really sure what to put, so, I originally put isolation, but I think what you're probably really wanting me to do is, the social anxiety, right, is probably what really drives that isolation, right? I got thinking about it.
Well, so the thought log, we talk about an event, and an event will trigger certain things like, your thoughts. So isolation is actually a behavior. Like, it's the consequence. It's the thing that happens, kind of like where you. Of course, I see that. Do you mind?
Yeah,
can I see
sure,
it?
Sure.
And I appreciate that you even tried to do this. If it was difficult or hard, because that means that you at least put some effort into it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I actually ended up filling this out last night.
That's okay. Look. I'm just, this actually is going to help us, though, be able to look at what's going on with you and figuring out the problem, that you wanted to talk about was the isolation. But the isolation is more of the response to the thought and event. Yeah. So let's look at the event. So you figured a little bit of this out. It just may not be in the right spots, and that's okay. So let's think about the event you've got here. Your thought was depression, and so what caused you to feel, what was an event that caused you depression that made you isolate?
I feel like the isolation probably causes depression. I think what happens is, like, let me just give you an example.
Okay.
Like, I'm walking through the grocery store the other day, and I walk past this woman, right? I'm pushing my buggy this way, she's pushing hers that way. And as I walk past her, I kind of looked over my shoulder and noticed that she's looking at me. Like, she's just kind of, like, glaring at me for a second. And she just kind of turns around and walks off, and I'm like, why did she do that? What did I do? I mean, is there something wrong? I mean, I got anxious. I got a little shaky. And then I just get, I'm not going to lie, I get a little frustrated. Like, why did she do that? If she had something to say to me, why did she say it? And then, so, I'm wound up, but then by the time I get home, I'm like, I feel bad that I got frustrated. I feel down that I'm being judged for something I don't even know what I did. And then I just kind of lock myself in my room. I'm like, you know what? I ignore my family's phone calls. I don't want to deal with people at that point. I don't know. That's just how I am, I guess. It's how I've always been for a while anyway.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that when you have somebody look at you, or you're in a situation that brings on a thought that you think that they're, like, you're wondering why they're looking at you, it actually brings on a chain of more thoughts, like consistent, maybe rapid thinking, like thoughts, a chain of thoughts. And then that causes you to kind of have a fight or flight kind of situation, or does it just make you want to, like, get away? Is what you were saying. I
mean, yeah, I think it is at first. First, I get anxious and I get frustrated, and then, like you said, by the time I get home and I decompress from it, I'm just like, I feel horrible, and I'm just like, I don't want to. I just get this funk, and I'm just like, it ruins my day. Let me just put it that way.
I am so sorry that you actually really go through that, because I know that's got to be really difficult.
Yeah, and it ruins my entire day at that point. I'm like, I don't want to watch TV that night. I lose part of my appetite. I'm just like, leave me the hell alone. And that's pretty much the mentality that I have at that point. And that sucks. I hate it. But
so we talked about. I gave you a little bit of, about the first session, a little bit about the changing our thoughts, or the cognitive behavioral therapy, where we take an event and you have an automatic thought that leads to an emotion. And so one of the things we want to start doing is is learning how to possibly change some of that, because what we want is you to have some relief from those feelings, because it's got to be awful. I mean, and so to
feeling
have
like I'm being judged all the time. Yeah, I mean, just feeling like anytime somebody looks at me, I'm like, why are you judging me?
So let me ask you this: when the person is looking at you, like I'm looking at you right now. So what's the difference? Is there a difference between what I'm looking at you right now and the person?
I mean, I like to feel like I'm not being judged here, but I guess I don't have any evidence whether you are or not. I don't know if you're judging me. I don't know. And maybe that frustrates me that I don't know.
Well, I can tell you that I can tell you I am not judging you. So, but I know that walking past somebody, you're not going to necessarily want to ask somebody, a stranger, are you judging me?
So then I'm left with all those what ifs.
Okay.
What if this person is judging me? Why? That's the why.
Right.
I can't get past the why. A lot of times, why did they turn around and look at me if they're not judging me? What other possible reason would they have to turn around and look at me if they're not judging me for something?
So let's think about the evidence in that situation. You walk past somebody and you see them look at you. What evidence is it that they are actually judging you? I mean, so you're asking about the why. Could you say, well, they could be looking, I look good today, or I've got, this coat on. Or maybe you look like somebody they know, or maybe they even think they know you. Have you ever walked past somebody and looked at them and said, gosh, I know them, and almost stare for a few minutes?
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I turned around and looked at her for some reason. I don't even know why. I guess I just did. She walked
because you had to look at her in order for her to see that she's looking at you.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess. But, yeah. I mean, and I wasn't judging her, I don't guess. Or maybe I am judging her for judging me. I don't, maybe I'm being judgmental by assuming she's judging me. I don't know. I mean, I guess you're right. That's a good way of looking at it, I suppose.
So maybe, what do you think about using that as a question, like when you see something that it makes you feel that way? So what is your physiological, what's the feeling that you feel when that happens?
I don't know, my heart races a little. I get a little shaky. It's like I don't know. And then I kind of feel like maybe I'm being judged because I'm doing that. It's
so
just
your thoughts just keep going and going. It's like a chain. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a snowball. Reaction. Yeah.
And so those things, like some of that physiological, is kind of an early warning sign that things could get worse if you don't do something.
Yeah. And
so maybe questioning those thoughts, like, what evidence do I have that she's judging me, or that she thinks she's thinking this or that?
So you're saying to basically put my belief on trial.
Yes.
I mean, okay.
So that's a good idea. So let's say that we're putting your thought when somebody looks at you, putting it on trial, and you're having to prove what the evidence you're showing, that give me the evidence to prove it guilty, or prove it it's innocent till proven guilty. What are you?
And I guess I don't have any evidence that she was judging me. I mean, she didn't say anything, but it's my brain it's hardwired to jump out there and assume that that's what she's doing. Because and you're making a good point that yeah, maybe there is other reasons why she would look at me. I guess I looked at her too. I get it. I guess I kind of get caught up in the moment, and I get wound up over it. And it's like you said, that physiological is what you said, where I start shaking, and I think I walk faster after that. I just started I gotta get away from this, and I catch myself doing that too.
So maybe those are times that recognizing and it's going to take some time. This isn't a quick fix. So this is why we talk about, the problems in that you're going to learn skills like over time to be able to recognize and ask the questions. And the more you practice it, the easier it will become. And, the biggest thing is, like I said, we want to be able to lower some of these thoughts of wanting to isolate and depression. Like we want to release
so
some
maybe
of
if
that.
I react better to this stuff in the moment, then maybe I won't want to go home and feel so crappy afterwards.
Right, because we want you to have a better day and be able to spend time with your family or want to spend time with.
Because I think that's where it starts. It's that negative thought. It's just like, I'm being judged, and then, like I said, it just snowballs into this, and then it ends at this depression at the bottom of the hill. It's just like
that's got to be difficult.
Yeah, it is, and I mean, you're making a good point. I do see your point, and I guess I should look at it that way. I don't know. That's easier said than done, but I mean, it's.
Well, I have something that may help us. How do you feel about doing another activity for homework during the week next week?
Okay. Is it the same thing as the other one?
It is something like that. So how did you feel about like some of the things that we just talked about? We talked about the situation and the automatic thoughts and what your reaction was, right?
I mean, yeah. I think putting it out into words right there definitely kind of, makes me look at it from a different angle.
Okay. So I want to be able to put a visual, and I want you to be able to put a visual to it, so we can come back next week and see if we can dig a little deeper and help you be able to like break things down and question it a little bit more.
Yeah.
So this is the sheet, and you can see that you've got blank spots. So the situation would be, and we're just I would like for it to be a situation that you're in next week and not use, if it's the exact same one, but for purposes of teaching you how to do the homework, I'm going to use the situation you just had.
Okay.
So your situation was that you were in the grocery store and the lady looked at you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so your automatic thought, what was your thought?
Probably anxiety at first. Let's start with that, because that was definitely, and maybe the frustration came afterwards.
So anxiety actually is a kind of a feeling. So
I felt nervous.
What did you?
Nervous is nervous.
Also a feeling.
Yeah.
So what were you thinking when you had that nervous? When you were nervous, what was your thought? What were you thinking?
Like I had to get out of here.
Okay.
I had to get away from this person because they're judging me.
Okay. So your automatic thought was, this person is judging me. So we're situation, she looks at me, your automatic thought. So what you want to do is when somebody's looking at you and you have those feelings that you were saying, like anxiety, ask yourself, what was I just thinking?
Yeah.
That's what's going to go here. It's a thought. Just think of thinking. What am I thinking?
What am I thinking? Yeah.
Okay, so those automatic thoughts go to reaction, which is what you were just talking about. Emotional. We have emotional, behavioral, and physiological. So you just named some of those. So those are going to go down here.
So I guess what's the physiological? I guess my heart racing and all that. Is that?
So physiological is what's happened with us physically, like our heart racing, shaking. Yeah. You said that you mentioned shaking. Behavioral is kind of like the isolation where you want to leave, you want to get out of there.
The running faster.
Walking faster. And the emotional is the actual feeling that you're feeling.
Yeah,
the anxiety. Yes.
Okay.
So do you think that you would be able, are you okay with...
I mean, I don't know if I'll carry it with me, but I mean, I'll look at it when I get home and be like, okay, this thing happened. Let me write all this. Yeah, I mean, I feel like putting this to paper definitely makes me kind of see it from a different angle. Because it's like, it's like when you say something, but then when you write it down, you're like, oh, okay, that's what that sounds like. So I'll give it a shot.
So, and then if you'll bring that back next week, we will look at it. And don't feel too pressured, if you're confused on what goes where, go ahead and fill it out the best you can. And then that's what I'm here for. That's what this is about, is me teaching you how to do these things. So if you struggle with it, it's okay. So I don't want you to feel like it's not, that you have to have, it does not have to be perfect, but do the best you can. Okay? So we have gone over, we looked at one of your situations and the problem from this past week, and we reviewed your homework, and we taught some skills about, looking at your feelings and your thoughts, and maybe questioning it, and to find evidence. And you've got your homework to do next week. I wanted to see if you have any feedback for me for this session.
No, I think it went really good. I feel like, it's like when I did that other thing last night, I was just like, I just kind of wrote in what I thought had happened. You know what I mean? I probably didn't put as much effort into it as I should. But coming in here and talking about it, you're right. I mean, I do things without evidence. I make assumptions without probable cause, even. You know what I mean? It's like, maybe I need to start paying attention to things a little more, in the sense that I don't have the answer to all of this. So it's going to be hard. It's a hard thing to change in my head, because I do make assumptions about people. Maybe that's me being judgmental.
Well, and we have things that are, core beliefs. That's like, can you put something like, when somebody's looking at you, do you have a feeling like
I'm doing something wrong. I'm making a mistake. I'm doing something awkward. I've done something to upset them at some other time. I don't know. Yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's like I run all that stuff through my head, all those different beliefs. It's just like a big jumble of beliefs.
So those core beliefs came from somewhere, like some time ago. And a lot of times we just continue to believe those, and then we have incidences like this, and we start having all these emotional and behavioral and physiological issues that go with it. And so we have to kind of change that. And so that's what we're going to really work on. Okay. So I also wanted to ask you, is there anything that I could do differently?
No, I appreciate what we're doing here. I'm gonna give it my all. I really am. I'm gonna stay committed.
I appreciate that. And
like I said, my last therapist, we just talked. We didn't do these things. We didn't do these documents and paperwork and all. And I kind of like this. I'm a visual guy. I kind of like to have that visual in front of me. So you know what? Let's run with it and see. I'm gonna try.
Awesome. All right. Well, I will see you next session. Bring that back with you next session, and I'll see you next time, same day, same time.
All right. Awesome.
Okay. Thanks, Seth.
All right. Appreciate it.
Good to see you.